All right. Well, it is that time again.
3 p.m. on a Sunday.
Yeah.
What you doing? Maybe.
There we go. There we go.
You fixed it?
Yeah, I was very confused for a bit because I kept hearing the music while we were talking. I didn't pull it down.
You didn't turn down the computer?
Nope, I did not. But yeah, I mean, it's a good way to start the
You screwed it
show.
up. Yeah.
You're listening to Average Rants here on KNMC.
90.1.
FM. A little dramatic.
Dramatic. Oh, it's fall. It's so cold. I was out mowing my lawn this morning, so I was almost shivering mowing my lawn.
I haven't mowed my lawn since midsummer.
Yeah, you have to water it in order to mow
Yeah,
it.
no, I was not going to waste water knowing that it was just going to destroy everything.
My lawn's the nicest it's been all year. And I haven't mowed or watered in a couple weeks. The nice cool mornings
Yeah.
and dew.
It's getting morning dew stuff going on.
Not 800 degrees outside.
Yeah, I've got my ring glider coming in on Tuesday. It's pretty stoked. I found like an actual like heavy duty tarp that's meant for the ring glider, so it won't get, hopefully it won't get wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
And then has spots so I can peg it down for while it's hurting.
Nice.
It's gonna be sick. What we got going on? Oh, I'm gonna butcher this. On October 10th, the Ojibwe Gneo Spiritual Run. Is that close?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't speak that language.
It is going to be happening at 8 a.m. on Agency Road and Laredo Road.
Laredo.
Laredo. Okay. What else we got? A whole bunch of stuff at the library. Just go to the library. We've got on Thursdays, we've always got trivia at the Crawford Distillery. Ooh, on October 20th, we also have the Havre JC's Haunted House.
Ooh, that's right. Yeah, the Halloween is coming up.
That's right. Do you know what you're going to be?
Something totally scary myself.
Yeah. Should I 3D print something for you?
No.
I can 3D print cat paws.
I'm just gonna tote the kids around.
I
The usual 6 or 8 houses or whatever the kids like to go to. Holiday.
Or you come to our neighborhood and we do the laps.
Quick, switch masks. You did that as a kid, right? So you can double up.
I just went back.
Hi, Barry.
Yep, pretty much. But so that'll be going on at 7 p.m. at the Great Northern Bear Beer Garden. And we've got on the 21st, St. Jude's Pumpkin Patch.
Hit it up.
That'll be happening at 10 a.m. I think that's good.
Right? So, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but McDonald's has done it again.
Is it the adult Happy Meal?
The adult Happy Meal! I don't... Oh, man. I am not... I'm like, as a kid, McDonald's was the holy grail of dinners or lunches or whatever. And now you're like, your kids are like, I want to go to McDonald's. You're like, yeah. Like, no, okay, we'll get you McDonald's, but I'm going to go someplace else.
Yeah. Well, I never really understood what it was, but I mean, I've randomly had McDonald's, usually because I feel bad. So like somebody will be like, "Oh, here."
You know who feels bad after you get McDonald's? You do after you eat it.
I don't know what that is. Like I remember when I was probably like 20-ish.
Oh, you're a human garbage disposal. You can
But
get
you're
it.
just eating it. You're like, oh, this is great. This is great. And I don't know what it is now. When I eat it, I'm like, oh, it tastes good for about 5 minutes. And then I'm like, what's going on? Did I eat something bad today?
Yeah, it's nauseating.
But that's almost every fast food for me now.
Yeah.
Like, I can go to Subway and eat that, but even that once in a while, I'm like, oh, I don't know what it is.
Your body's just not used to it. It's just over the pre-made food. It's just ugh,
Yeah.
all the preservatives in it. You're like, your body's like, we're capped out on preservatives.
Oh man, like I had like Cheerios, regular Cheerios a while ago, and I was like, these taste good without sugar. That's when I feel like I'm getting older.
I'm a cereal connoisseur, so when somebody's like, what kind of cereal do you like? I'm like, good, pick one.
Yeah, I know you are because you use whipped cream bowls to fill.
Cool Whip.
It's whipped cream.
And they make the perfect cereal bowl. They have the perfect depth, so I don't have to refill.
Yeah, you can dump the whole box of cereal in it.
Not the whole box.
I feel like I just need to buy you a box of cereal and have it pre-cut open to make it so it's just a bag when you.
They all come in bags. We get the multi meal versions. You get twice as much for the same price. But yeah, so the Happy Meals come with a toy.
Mm-hmm. What kind of toy is it though?
I don't know. It depends on what it is, I guess. A mystery inside. But you can get the 10-piece nugget meal or the Big Mac meal. Both come with a side of fries and a drink of choice. Like, yeah. Did you notice that they've changed the Grimace character over the years?
What do they do?
What he looks like? Well, they gave him another set of eyes.
Oh, is that what's going on? Because I was seeing that.
And so he just looks creepy now.
I think it is because they were trying to make him a monster.
Yeah, no. He just looks
Looks horrible.
It does, like
It looks like a printing mistake.
looks like they gave Kingston Play-Doh and they're like, hey, put eyes on this. Anyone who doesn't know, my son Kingston is 3, and that's what Grimace looks like. He's purple with 4 eyes.
So
Limited edition mystery toy. So what you do is you go out and you do this, and you go get them, and you collect the toys, but don't take them out of the bags or anything. In like 25 years, they might be worth something. Because I don't know.
They're worth something right now. Look at this. Like I just searched adult Happy Meals just to see what would come up, and it looks like they all have 4 eyes.
Crazy.
And so like this one is $28 to buy the toy, just the toy.
Well, how much is the meal? Like,
Well, I think what happened, because I was reading an article, and that's why I knew as soon as you're like, McDonald's did it. What's been happening is they're running out of adult Happy Meals because so many adults are buying it.
it doesn't change the way it tastes. It still tastes like crap.
Yeah.
Okay, so here in Georgia, it was $11.99 for the Happy Meal. A $3 upcharge from the standard combo, which is $8.79. The only difference being the figurine and the packaging.
I don't get people. So my mom would get me these toys and then keep them in the packaging. So I actually have some McDonald's toys from like the 80s.
You need the Beanie Baby. You remember the Beanie Baby thing that they did? Some of the Beanie Babies that they have are worth thousands of dollars, as long as they're in the packaging.
Yeah.
They did one for each country because they did like an Olympic thing with them, and they went crazy.
The last one that they had was like those little different animals that looked like little sausages.
Mm-hmm.
And it was before Jeff Ralph had left. And we went in there because we were trying to collect a whole bunch of those because Persephone really liked them. And I was like, oh, it's over. But they still had the display. And I went up to Jeff Ralph because he was sitting there. I was like, hey, Jeff, can I buy that set? He's like, oh, you want those? Like, yeah, my daughter wants them. And we've been trying to get the rainbow one, but we couldn't get it. And it's right there. And he was like, oh, yeah, one sec. And he went, opened it up, and said, here, take them. And I was like, sweet. So we got like the whole set.
Think about all the toys that you had as a kid and destroyed, and now you're like, they're worth thousands of dollars. Like, no, what? I played with the toys I got.
My dad told me he remembered reading the first Superman comic in the store, holding it in his hand.
It's $1 million.
And I was like, why didn't you buy it? He's like, I couldn't afford it then.
10 cents?
Yeah, right? When he was a kid, and I was like, oh man, that thing sold for like $1 million or some dollars.
So it was 10 cents American. What is that, 8 or 9 cents Canadian?
Back then, I think we were ahead.
Really?
I don't know.
I think it said on the book because they do the dual things. But anyway. Yes. Yeah. So that's crazy. I mean, I don't like McDonald's enough to go there just because of an adult Happy Meal. Get a fancy toy in a box. Like, I understand the Grimace one, but I don't. Like, the other toy's just creepy. I don't even recognize them. Where's the Hamburglar at? Do you remember all the commercials they used to do with the Hamburglar, Ronald, and who else was there? See, there's the Hamburglar. They
Yeah, they all have 4 eyes.
and the chicken thing. What was that?
I don't know, Birdo?
Right? And where's Ronald? That's my thing. Or is Ronald now like the peanut character guy there? He looks like Charlie Brown, honestly, with 4 eyes.
It does. It looks like a child's version of Charlie Brown.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the. I wonder if it's the cactus plant flea market marketing, because that's the only thing I can think of. I don't know what cactus plant flea market is.
I don't even know what you're talking about, man.
Oh, it's just saying, like, it says cactus plant flea market, and that's what
Oh.
the inspiration is for the toys.
Correct. Weird.
I just get like, look at people like it looks like here, this guy's got a box of them.
Mm-hmm.
So he either is an employee at McDonald's and he just stole the box,
Oh, yeah.
or he just was like, I'm just gonna buy this. But I don't think you can do that. I'm pretty sure he just took the box.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because people are buying them for like $20 a pop. Why?
Because they're trying to make a quick buck.
You know, people are so bad with money. Like we were at what's that coffee shop just by the rental place?
What rental place?
The have a rental.
Oh, you mean Coffee Hound?
Yeah, we were there. We walk down there sometimes, and I heard a girl talking about how she had just got her driver's license, and she was excited that she had got accepted for a credit card. And I was like, oh, don't say anything. And then she was talking with her friend, and she's so excited because she's like, with the credit card, I can buy things when I don't have money and then pay it off when I get paid again. And I just wanted to look at her and be like, but then you won't have money after you get paid the next time for buying things that time. And it puts you down that rabbit hole at a young age.
Credit cards are awful.
Like, if my kid was 16 and was trying to get a credit card, I'd be like, no.
Yeah,
I didn't get my first credit card until I was in my 20s. And when I only got it because they give you those little deals, but I use it. And I still use it like it's a debit card. If I don't have money in my bank to be able to pay it off, I don't use it.
Yeah, they're great for like if you're on vacation and your car breaks down and you need to quit. I mean, not so much anymore because everything's so digital, so you can get cash anywhere, anytime now. But back in the day when it was cash or check, and you're like, we don't accept a check, and I'm like, I don't carry $8,000 in my pocket. So here's the credit card. But yeah. Yep. So you want to hear some artsy news? I got an art story.
I love artsy news because I feel like I'm kind of artsy. In more than one way.
An art appraiser got fired because he appraised an antique piece of pottery, a vase or whatever, for $2,000. It went to auction and sold for over $8 million. He was slightly off in his appraisal.
It's close.
Yeah. Can you imagine the person who did that? Who owned it, and they're like, "Oh, it's only $2,000." What if they sold it for $2,000 and then realized they're out $8,000 or $8 million, right? Like, I mean, I don't know if that's what happened, but still. And he's supposed to be so he's supposed to be an expert. in art. He appraised the vase for $1,950, and apparently, when they went to sell it, it went to for over $8 million.
See, but that also baffles me too. Is why is it worth $8 million?
Well, I guess it sold for nearly $8 million to a buyer over the phone from Ahab. Nobody has any idea why the vase sold for such a high value. When people, this is the thing I don't that people have trouble with, and everybody does. Is they're like, well, it's selling online for this amount. Is it still there for sale? Yeah. Well, then it's obviously not selling for that price.
Yeah.
When somebody's like, well, this is worth this much. Did somebody offer you that much for it? No, they offered me this. Then it's not worth that. It's only worth what somebody's willing to give you for it. So,
Sammy and I actually watched, I think it was a John Oliver, and he was talking about art, like museums and that kind of stuff. And he went through like this huge thing. And I guess the British Museum is the worst to deal with, where they have loads and loads of just artifacts and art pieces that they keep hidden in the basement that nobody's allowed to see.
well, I think a lot of that comes from because they're afraid for it might change something that they've like, well, this is what it is. Well, no.
Yeah, but like the big thing though is you've got a lot of this happens in America where there's a lot of native cultures that they have to go ask permission to go down into the basement to see the artifacts of their people because they refuse to put it on display. And I'm like, then why have it? Isn't a museum supposed to be showing us?
A lot of museums anymore are businesses.
Well, that's just it. And then there's also there's a lot of people that sell artifacts illegally, and museums apparently just don't care, and they will buy it because there was.
They'll buy them from black marketers to get them off the black market.
Well, a museum bought, and this I think it was the British Museum, bought a sarcophagus, and they bought it for like $9 million. They got it, they put it on display. Lady Gaga was in a picture of it, and because of that, the place that it was stolen from was like, hey, that's our sarcophagus that got stolen from us a year ago.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it wasn't. That's not it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the big thing. Like, so many artifacts that they find are stolen. Like they're not found by archaeologists. They're found by treasure hunters who are looking to make a quick buck. It's really bad over in Egypt and the Middle East where all that happened, and people are like, well, what happened to this artifact or that art? And all of a sudden they just pop up for the top dollar, and they're for sale. Like, we're selling these big pieces of history that could change history, but it's on the black market because someone went illegally dug somewhere they weren't supposed to and found it.
I just think I don't know. I don't think I would ever want to own something that should have been available for everyone to see.
Right.
Like, I like, if we went and we got some arrowheads that we found or something, like that would be kind of cool to be like up on a wall.
You know what's like, we're on this antique thing. You know what's crazy? How many people are pulling swords out of lakes over in Europe right now? There was a girl pulled a 1,500-year-old sword from a Swedish lake called Queen.
Is it Excalibur?
That's what people are like, yeah, she's the new Queen of England. Because one of the versions of the legend is that the sword was given to Arthur by the Lady in the Lake. He didn't pull a sword from the stone. It was given. I'm not going to get into it, but there are several versions of the story where there are actually two versions of Excalibur. One before Excalibur became Excalibur after it was initially broken. It was a different name sword. I can't remember right now what it was called. But after it was reforged, they called it Excalibur. It's kind of weird, kind of like Lord of the Rings, right? Like Tolkien may have borrowed something there. Maybe. Because Stars and Narsil ended up becoming a different sword once Aragorn got it. But like, why can't I find something cool like that? Like, just
live in America.
I do. They made stuff out of rocks, so it's like,
you probably have found something cool. We just didn't realize.
No, I've been out hunting and found teepee rings and stuff like that, but nothing
No, but I mean, we might be walking along and be like, "Oh, look at this cool rock," and then we're on
Well,
top of it. and
We
it was
do.
like a-
We do actually have some pretty cool history right up by the mall. But you got the Watchung buffalo jump there, where they just ran buffalo over the cliff.
well, but even with that
And then-
stuff, though, that's still not dating back to
It's prehistoric.
crazy.
What do you mean? It dates back like 8,000
Yeah,
years.
but that stuff is so.
And then,
That's so BC.
and then they have the petroglyphs that are actually, they have a drawing of a, like, there's a man.
But let me ask you: would you rather find a prehistoric spear
Oh, that's pretty cool.
or Excalibur?
If it makes me the king of England,
You know what I mean, right? Like, so, like the stuff that we would find around here is going to be either prehistoric or simple tools. So when we find it, we'd be like, I don't know. But then over in England, they always find stuff where you're like, oh yeah, look at that. It's a
well,
brass.
I gotta tell, and this is right in your backyard, living in Canada, but you don't know anything about it, which astounds me. You don't know anything about Oak Island.
Is there lots of trees there?
English oaks, which don't belong in the Americas, which is why they're really weird. They, to their knowledge, no one had ever been on this little island, Oak Island, off the coast of Nova Scotia. You know how Nova Scotia got its name? You know what it means?
How?
New Scotland, because it was supposedly discovered by the Scottish.
But it's Nova Scotia.
It means New Scotland in Scottish. Anyway, no one is supposed to have lived on this little island before 1780. Well, these kids in like the early 1800s were digging or were wandering around the island one day, and they found like a pulley up in a big giant oak tree. Like, why is there a pulley in the tree? You know, why would you put a giant pulley up there? And then they were looking around on the ground, and they're like, they started to discover that there were some logs. They dug them up, and they kept digging and digging, digging. They got down to 90 feet, and they found a stone with some weird markings on it. Anyway, this has led to what's called the money pit. They believe that there is a massive treasure hidden somewhere on this island. And I watched like all 9 seasons of this show, right? They're finding artifacts that date back to the 1300s. Why are on this little island? They found a ship, dude, a boat
Okay, so
on an island.
it's a paradox island. So all of time, there's some. You know how like when you go to do your laundry and you're missing a sock. Well, there's periods of time where like a ship goes missing and nobody can explain it, like the Bermuda Triangle kind of story.
Right.
And well, that's where it ends up. It gets sucked into a portal.
It's like the craziest thing ever because they're finding artifacts that predate anything that's there. And they're finding all these. They found there's a triangular shaped swamp, and right in the middle there, you see where those two, that thing, and then they go to the top there and down. It makes a triangle. Not there. You have to go to the left. There's a man-made swamp. They know it's man-made. There's wharfs where they made it so they could get to and from ships. And there's a burnt ship 50 feet under the muck and dirt. Now, they can't confirm it's a ship, but they keep pulling up boat parts. And I'm not a scientist, but if you keep pulling boat parts out of there, there's probably a boat in there somewhere. It's crazy. They found man-made tunnels underneath the ground. Hundreds of feet under the ground. 180 feet. They're finding tunnels, man-made tunnels. They're pulling wood from 100. How does wood get 180 feet underground?
Well, have you
Cut man timbers.
ever heard of like digging through the earth and getting to like China or something?
Yeah, only on the flat.
England's actually on the other side. You dig straight through.
Right.
So the roots are just coming through.
It's crazy. Like there's so many different things. Who's did it? There's Templars that they're saying that probably did it. They're saying
Where was the Captain
Freemason.
Kidd's treasure was buried there?
yeah, like they think that could be the hiding place of the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail. They don't know. The problem is that when they dig when the original tunnel diggers dug the hole, they hit a booby trap which fills everything with water. So seawater has now flooded every tunnel that's down there. So if you're going to go 180 feet down, it's really tough to breathe.
It's just gonna be here.
Yeah, they've tried that. It's really dark. It's crazy. How much of it's the TV show and how much of it's true, I don't know. I just want to know what's in the bottom of the hole. I watched it for like 8 seasons. I want to know what's in the hole.
don't we all? I mean, I think anytime something unique has been found.
But it changes history. And people are so scared of that. Like, no one was here before 1492. Well, we know that's garbage. We've already proven that's wrong. The Vikings were here long before that.
I don't know why people are so afraid of change. Because, I mean,
It's like that story in Brazil where you're like, the Romans, they found a Roman ship off the coast of Brazil.
Yeah.
And they covered it up.
Yeah.
The Brazilian government refuses to let anybody guide the site.
It changed the way history was.
It changes who discovered Brazil. It doesn't change who you are. Because they're named, the place where it's found, their city is named after a really famous Spanish conquistador. And
I would think, let's say that we owned an island, and the story, and we had like a resort that people come to, and the big thing was that it was found by the Spanish. And then after like 10 years, we find something on that island that's very unique, and it turns out, no, it was found by China, right? Then we would just own that, be like, oh, we found something.
I'm looking at this as a cash grab going,
yeah.
Look, we've got proof that there's a Roman boat buried offshore in 30 feet of water. How do you know it's Roman? Because of all the wine casks that have Roman seals and stamps all over them. Like the Romans, they didn't think the Romans left the Mediterranean Sea.
No, but I guarantee you that you always have that. There's always the chance of having that one navigator that's like, yeah, it's like an actor. They put that they know how to be a navigator, but they don't actually know how to do it. So they're like, yeah, go this way, and then all of a sudden this doesn't look right.
Right. Yeah. It's nuts. There's an ancient coin that actually has a picture. It's an ancient coin from the Mediterranean, and I can't remember the name of the culture that it's from. But you look at the coin, and you could see it's got the boot of Italy and the little islands that are around Italy. But you look at the other half, the other side of the coin on the other side, it looks like the coast of Florida in the United States. And they're like, well, no, that can't be there. Why couldn't it be? Like, do you think they just guessed on what the land over there looked like?
Well, I mean, I guess the way that I kind of always thought about it was, if you and I went and walked a certain direction and we found something, who are we going to tell?
Everybody.
Right, but we weren't. It's not like we're going to go to the government and all that. We'll just be like, because Dasa would be like, oh yeah, we found this like cool freaking rock, and it had like looked like it was carved out to be a dinosaur or something. Mm-hmm. And we would tell like our wives, our friends, and that would be the end of it. And then it might get somewhere, but then you get somebody like Christopher Columbus, which was a known explorer. So of course, when he came back, kings would listen to him.
Yeah, you use the word sailor. I don't. Columbus.
Well, he was a mass murderer.
Yeah, he was
he was a very
which is way different from the history we were taught as kids.
Oh yeah.
Like Columbus landing at Plymouth Rock is garbage. Like just throw it out. Why is it even in a textbook? He didn't even get close.
And he was a horrible governor.
Yeah.
He governed some of the land that he had, and people were killed in troves.
Yeah, but
I don't know. To me, like you say that to some people, and they would get extremely upset. They would get mad. I find it interesting
because
why sugarcoat history?
It changes the way they've.
We can still celebrate Columbus Day. It's just
no, we don't.
But I just mean,
Well, we still celebrate the day. She's got a different name now. But yeah.
National We Didn't Find It Day?
No, it's Indigenous Peoples Day.
Ooh, that's a jab at them. Good.
There you go, right? Right in the guts.
Well, we did celebrate Columbus Day in Canada anyway. So,
we didn't discover Canada. You guys should have been celebrating Leif Erikson Day.
We don't actually have a day for when we assume things were discovered in Canada that I can think of.
No, I think I think there were always people here and there were always people in Canada. The first non-Indigenous people to show up, there's theories that the Vikings are the big one. They were in Canada.
But that's just one of those weird things too. So why is it such a big deal to be like, oh,
I think it's cool because for the longest time, historians, with it talking last couple hundred years, were so in the box. They're like, they couldn't have sailed here from Europe back then. They didn't have the technology. Yes, they did. And it's quite easy if you follow the land bridge around up by Greenland, which is easy enough, and island hop, and you could literally go on icebergs and fish and catch seals, and you would easily do it.
I just think it's weird that, like, you look at all the history and stuff that gets said is like, oh, they came to Canada. I'll just use Canada. They came to Canada and they discovered this new land with people on it. Well, then you didn't discover it.
It's in the name. Newfoundland is a Viking name.
Yeah.
It's Vinland. They're like, this is New Vinland. This is.
Well, you do know how Canada got its name, right?
Oh, there's so many jokes with this one. I don't know. Which one is it?
Okay, this isn't a joke.
Oh, actual way how Canada got its name?
So the settlers came down to St. Lawrence, and there was a village there, and they met the chief. The chief came out, but there was language barrier, right?
Big one.
So when the explorer was talking to him, he would point towards the village and say Canada. So Canada
with a K.
Yeah. Is village, means like village.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, so Canada, because he thought he was pointing to the land.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's how it got its name, because a misconception.
Well, a lot of people don't realize it. Like New Jersey, the state of New Jersey. Jersey's an English town.
Well, it's the New
York. York is a town in England. We have New York. We just adopted names from in Europe because that's where
most of the names came from. People
yeah.
from Europe.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to dub this place New York because it's Old York. We're New York, and we're in Jersey, New Jersey, also in English.
Yeah. We need to make a town so we can dub it something.
I don't know why.
It's just be cool.
Well, we better win the lottery so you can own a town.
I'm pretty sure that there's some ghost towns that we could get for cheap.
I dubbed this town, but then it doesn't have the cool ghost town name anymore.
I could have the ghost town, but then when people come to visit it, they'd be like, "Why is this called Gettysburg? Did we make a wrong turn?"
Yeah. Oh man. So we just need to stop thinking that the ancient people were stupid. I mean, the pyramids were the tallest thing in the world for thousands of years before we even got close to beating it.
Yeah. We don't make stuff like that anymore. We make like skyscrapers and stuff, but I don't know. I feel like back then when they were making those, they were even marveled by the people making them.
Well, it just goes to show what the power of belief can do. Like, they weren't building it for themselves. They're building it for their pharaoh or their god.
Yeah. Right?
And in fear of their god or pharaoh punishing them if they didn't, so they built it. And the mammoths that they had pulled blocks of. Mammoths.
Are you talking about
10,000
BC?
Oh, such a bad movie.
Well, just over the hill.
Yeah. There's a giant desert, saber-toothed cat. Oh, it's bad. So check it out. Scientists, you remember that hollow earth theory? Which isn't true. Like, I don't believe in hollow earth. But scientists have discovered an ocean beneath the Earth's surface. Now, this isn't in an ocean as you would think of like 10,000, or in like, what was that? Journey to the Center of the Earth? Not like that in a sense, or Lord of the Rings where Gandalf is following with the Balrog, he lands. No. What they're saying is there's a layer down, I don't remember how deep, pretty long ways. They found a giant diamond, which had different elements to it, which is what led them to this discovery.
Yeah.
Dude, you weird me out when you do that. Don't do that.
Well, it's because when somebody stares at us as they walk by, I stare back.
Just stack him the evil eye. Anyway.
I thought it was the Montana way.
Right. The diamond was found 2,100 feet below the Earth's surface in Botswana, Africa. It contained large amounts of water, though. So what they're thinking is that the water down there is actually saturated with a large amount of salt water, which technically makes it kind of like an ocean underneath
so
the surface.
You don't drink it. That's why we can't have dinosaurs.
There's obviously they think there's a lot more. The transition zone is more aquaceous than they thought. To be not scientific, that's the zone between the crust and the upper mantle.
I don't know.
Just thought I'd throw it out there. Like water underneath land, weird.
Well, it's pretty cool, but I feel like that should happen. Like
Water
we have
trap.
so much water and we have like little land.
Well, and you look at other planets actually have this. It's quite common. There's no water on the surface. But there's a bunch of it underneath. You just have to dig for it.
Yeah.
Like we look at space and people look at space like there's nothing out there. You can't survive. There's no water. Believe it or not, water is the most common element found in the universe. Water is all over the place. It's just getting it's kind of a pain.
Oh, imagine how much you could get. You'd be like, come drink the waters of Neptune.
Don't drink the waters of Neptune. Drink the waters of Mercury. You know how Mercury got its name, right? Don't do that. Yeah.
Get bottled water from different planets.
Right. So, yeah. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, but kind of going back to when I said the Montana way for people staring at you. What is with that around here?
I don't know. I don't stare at you.
No, so like every time I'm walking somewhere, I'll be like walking around, and you know how you usually catch the eyes of like a driver or something like that. Whenever that happens to me here,
Stare down.
yeah, they just keep staring at you until they go by, and I don't know what that's about.
I don't know.
So like usually I'll look, and if it was you, I'd be like, oh hey, Derek, what's going on? And that makes sense. But there's times when I'm walking, and then I see like I'll catch eyes with somebody. You know?
We got a like. You see that?
Oh.
That's our first like ever.
I didn't know if that was like a Montana thing where it was like you have to continuously
So here's
keep
what you-
eye contact.
Here's what you do. You just wave and see what they do.
I don't know. I find it more fun to be like they look at you and then they have this weird stern look and I just keep looking like I'm like what am I not supposed? Am I supposed to look away? Who's gonna win? It's like a staring contest.
Right? Yeah, can't look away.
Challenge accepted.
First one who looks away is not dominant.
Yeah, I mean because I'm not driving, so that's fine. If they keep staring at me.
Yeah.
You've never had people do that, or you just don't stare back.
I just don't stare. Like I'll be driving down the street. We'll be going to get groceries or whatnot, and Amanda will be in the passenger seat, and she'll wave at somebody, and she's like, "You didn't see him?" I'm like, I'm watching. I don't see people when I drive. I very rarely
You don't see people when you drive. That's a problem.
Right?
What was that thud? I don't know. I didn't see anybody.
I can't. I wave at you. I'm like, I'm busy driving. I keep eye on what's in front of me, not what's off to the left or right of me. Unless I'm out hunting, and then I almost drive into the ditch.
Now,
And it's like, well, you keep it on the road. I'm like, well, you know.
now I feel like because I've said this on the radio, we're gonna have some listeners that are like, next time we see that guy, I'm just gonna keep
They
staring.
don't know who we are.
Yeah, they might. It's a small town.
Like we were just talking to Keith before we got here. He didn't know we did the radio.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Well,
He's like, where are you going? I'm like, we're going to do the radio. He's like, huh? Like he works here. I'm not sure he knows they have a radio station.
I didn't know that there was a radio station here on campus until my second year here.
Wow.
Well, it's in a place that, I mean, for me, I wouldn't come to the sub. I didn't need to get stuff from here.
You didn't need food?
I don't need to eat here because I live just down the road.
Hmm.
Even at the old house, it was still a 5-minute drive. It was quicker for me to go home, make something, and then come back.
Yeah. Man, I don't want to do bad news today, but I think I almost have to.
Uh-oh.
A deaf couple was denied a marriage license by a Florida county clerk. Like, why?
I don't know why, but that doesn't surprise me that it was in Florida.
But why? Like, okay.
Because they couldn't respond to her question.
Right? Here's my biggest question. Why do I need a license to get married to somebody?
Yeah, like, well, I think the main thing is tax purposes.
That I get and understand. But some states have, and this is one of them, that you can actually be married without getting a marriage license. It's called common law marriage.
Yeah.
You live with somebody long enough and you claim them on your taxes. Montana will treat you as if you're married.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of the license?
I don't know. I think it's just a novelty.
And who has the right to say no?
Really, nobody. Because my father-in-law said no.
Okay. There are some circumstances, no, you cannot marry your sister.
Yes, that's a good no.
Yes, I know you love her, but seriously, you don't want kids with like 16 eyes.
Unless you want to make the Ronald McDonald.
Right. But this baffles me. Why does one person think they can tell another person what to do, or who to, for any reason?
I think it's that everything to me always comes down to a sense of power. People like feeling like they have power over something else if they don't have power in their own life.
Right.
So like, I mean, there's certain points like when I'm coaching hockey, I do feel empowered.
You are in a place of power as a
right.
coach.
So I
know. I did this. I did 2 hours of Say Sport videos last night. I am very educated in positions of power. I'm like, jeez.
But I mean, that's a good example of
Right.
it. I feel like I'm very knowledgeable in it, and it gives me a sense of power. And if somebody was to come in while I'm helping with the adults and start contradicting what I'm saying, I would feel a battle of power. But I feel like some people get that with, it's usually, to me, religious stuff. Is they're like, my religion is so right that because you're breaking it, you're wrong. So I have to enforce the power that I have to enforce the right of what's good or bad.
Yeah, I don't. Why can't people just be happy and leave everyone alone?
I don't know. I'm a very strong believer on if it doesn't affect me, then I don't need to do anything about it. And if it does affect me, I think about if it affects me enough that I should do something about
Does it affect you in a negative or a positive way? Two deaf people getting married shouldn't affect anybody.
No, I don't think anybody getting married at all will affect me in any way.
And no marriages between man and animal. That's just weird. Well,
But you know what? If in the end they want to, truthfully, it
go
doesn't
for it.
bother me. I do not.
Don't invite me to the wedding. I'm not interested. But
Here's a scenario for you on that topic.
oh,
We find life on another planet, but they're intelligent but look more beast-like. Is that an
man, this is bringing me back to Clerks 2, interspecies erotica, right? But I guess if they love each other as an alien species,
I think what it has to be is it has to be two intelligent beings. So like a man and a cow. The cow is not considered intelligent.
and can the cow consent?
Yeah, no. There you have to be able to consent
Right?
without being taught how to.
Right?
Or
Or coerced into it. You have to be able to verbally. It can't be just assumed that it's consent because, well, it's like your dog will do damn near anything you want it to if you have a treat in your hand. Like, duh. But yeah, I think it comes down to like we have to, for some reason, it's human nature to put everything in full-on categories. Like, what race are you? Human.
I'm Canadian.
Like, there's only one race. It's the human race, right?
Right.
You're not black. You're not Asian. You're not white. You're human.
That's why, like, if we ever found life on another planet, I think that's one way that we could help fight like racism. It's because eventually, then people will start being like, "Oh no, we're humans, and no, we can't let the." I don't know. I'm trying to think of the name. Like,
Oh, my wife makes a very good point, but I don't think I should say it because it's not very nice. Alabama would be a very lonely place.
We can say that because we're in Montana.
Yeah, right. No one in Alabama is listening.
Well, even if they were.
But I'm listening to. I've listened to the book like 3 times. L. Ron Hubbard's Battlefield Earth. That for me is like different race. That makes more sense. Alien races, different. The human race. That's us. We're human. But in that book, there are thousands of races, but they're all different. They're not talking different male, female, or black or white, or different subspecies into that, which is I think what we're trying to break humans into, or subspecies. But we're not. You put the genetics. You put a piece of DNA from a 21-year-old white male versus the DNA versus a 21-year-old black male, you're not going to know which one is which. The DNA should be the same.
Well, I mean, there'll be difference because of individual differences.
But the DNA itself...
They would have very similar things.
Exactly.
Being humans.
Yeah. They'd have very small differences in, well, your skin tone or your eye color, but that variance is across the spectrum.
Yeah, I think it's...
And the one from, say, the white guy, he could have the DNA, the blue eye DNA thing. It just isn't a dominant gene. It just isn't popping out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it all comes down to, like, I don't know. I would never be happy if I was constantly mad at things other people were doing. Because, like, if it doesn't, like I said, if it doesn't affect me.
Why do you care?
But it makes them happy. Okay.
Whoops.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because there's lots of laws that I hear people argue over all the time. And I'm like, I don't agree with the law, but it actually doesn't affect me.
I know this is a little off topic, but kind of similar. I was at the football game the other night. They have a girl on the football team. I was like, that's awesome. I did not know, because they have had it in the past. It just, it's been a while. And it happens every few years. They had a girl on the men's football team. I mean, that's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was that the high school?
The high school, yeah. She was in pep band, too, so she was out there in her football uniform doing pep band at halftime. Like, she's pulling double duty.
That's pretty cool.
Right?
It's weird about football. Football, like, I'm just trying to think of sports, and football's like the only sport that is only male.
Predominantly male. They do have, and it's pretty degrading if you looked up some of the female football that's out there. It's awful.
But it's just because there's going to be no push into trying to make it happen. You've only got a small group.
There isn't enough calling for it, I think, is the biggest issue that they have with it. Like, there isn't enough girls that want to go out. And football, actually, right now is in a really tough spot. There are fewer and fewer people putting their kids into football because of the injuries. Not just concussions, just injuries, period.
Well, I think we talked about it before. It's one of the only sports I've ever watched where it looks like people try to kill each other.
Oh, I mean, it's vicious. Like, I had this conversation with my wife last night, and I said, I would not be upset if my son did not want to play football. I won't force him into football, but if he wants to play, I would make sure and tell him that, yeah, you can definitely do this, but you got to know that it's an extremely dangerous sport. There are a lot of injuries that happen.
I'm pretty sure that we can convince him that hockey.
Well, and you can't play the hockey card because there are a lot of injuries in hockey. Guys just play through.
There's injuries in hockey, but the thing is we have so much equipment that
the
at
biggest,
the younger ages,
the biggest
you don't
thing,
see it as much.
No, because there's less the body contact they have isn't tackling or knocking you over or grabbing a hold of you. It's just like shoves and pushes. The bigger injuries, most injuries that happen in the NFL are because you're falling on, and joints only bend one way. Well, when somebody falls on you and your ankle's one way and you're falling the other way, broken fingers, broken ankles, twisted knees, and stuff like that. Whereas in hockey, you don't get that because there's no one grabbing onto you, and if they do, it's a penalty. The minute somebody...
Yeah, we call it hugging.
Or grabbing the stick, which you're a master at. You just hide it because you've got your stick in your hand.
I can't help it if you put your stick in my hand.
Right. But, yeah, I would never say my son couldn't play football, but I'd make sure you're probably going to get hurt.
We have 100% decided that there's one thing that our daughter is not allowed to do.
Cheerleading?
Now,
why can't she make that choice? And I'm just asking out of curiosity.
We don't feel like she can make that choice because it's the peer pressure that pushes girls into doing it.
What about all the guy cheerleaders?
Well, here's the thing. We just got some stuff sent to us from the school talking about cheer camp, and it specifically says girls cheer camp. And I'm like, no. I will put my daughter in gymnastics. I would put her in competitive cheering because that's more like gymnastics. But I will not have my daughter go out
So when
there.
she gets to high school and all her friends are in the cheerleading...
The way things are going right now with my daughter, she's going to be in the art club.
Yeah, and I know you and Sam, you're like, we want her to play sports. And I'm looking at your daughter going, I don't think she's going to play sports. Like, she's just... she's really young.
Older, specific ones.
She's
but
really young, but she just might not be in it. I mean, it's not.
I, at the moment, and my hope right now, based on the way that she is she's going to be the attractive art girl.
Right.
That when a guy comes up and says something stupid, she's going to say something very feminist to tell him how stupid he is.
Well, and he's going to give her that blank stare because he doesn't know what
Yeah.
she just said.
Yeah, and that's
You've
my
been
hope.
in that situation, right?
No,
You've
I've
never-
never said something where a girl attacked me because I was being inconsiderate.
Oh.
Besides Sammy. Sammy does that to me because I do girls. But and that doesn't bother me.
I'm with my kids. I'm throw it at the wall and see what sticks. I put my kid in it. They like it. Great. If they don't, oh well.
Well, because she liked soccer, even though.
Did she like soccer or did she like playing with the other kids?
That's what it was.
It was more of a group activity where she could communicate and
I
talk.
think I told you that she pushed a kid over
Yeah.
to get the ball because we told her you got to go out there and be a little bit more aggressive. Well, she went a little more aggressive, and then she came running over. And she's like, "Mommy, did you see what I did?" Sammy was like, "Yeah, it was good," because Sammy was dealing with another kid. So then she goes out and pushes another kid. I was like, no. But it was like for a throw in. So somebody's standing there about to throw in, and Sammy just looked at this kid beside her, and she's like, boom, pushed him over.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the way we're doing it. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I don't agree with the way some people like. You need to play. I played football as a kid. You're playing football, or hockey, or baseball, or softball. No, let your kid live there. That was your dream. That was what you wanted to do. Why not let your kid say your kid wants to be part of the art club instead of on the hockey team?
I was part of the art club.
Right.
I'm in one right now.
Right. And even though they're not, they didn't coincide. She's like, I just don't want to play hockey. I want to do art. I mean, you support.
So I mean, she likes to skate, so that's why we do the skate. And we put a rink in the back, not to teach her to play hockey, but I just want her to be able to skate.
Right.
And then when she's a little bit older, let's say she's 10, and she decides, oh, well, I want to play hockey. She's not so far behind in the skating.
I've seen how in she is to watching hockey on the television. Like, I don't think she even knows it exists.
Well, then you haven't sat with us recently because she will sit and watch hockey.
Is she?
Yes.
She's not coloring or reading a book or playing with a toy?
No, not every time. But I think it was about like 4 days ago. I was watching. She sat just cuddled up on the couch, and she was asking me questions.
Right. So that's good.
Yeah.
Kingston, you mentioned the word hockey. He goes and grabs a stick.
But I think it's because he knows he can attack people with it.
Right. And it gets down to the gender thing, but I think some girls will do it too. It just depends on the kid. Like, boys tend to be more sport than girls, period. But girls don't get the opportunity that the boys do because it's more of a, hey, boys play sports, girls don't.
Well, and I guess that's kind of my take on like cheerleading. Like, to us, as we're Canadian, you don't have like cheer squads, and like that's not a huge thing that I've ever really heard of. And then we came down here, and I think we got a bad taste in our mouth. We were in Georgia, and this guy had a kid in cheering, and I thought it was ridiculous that the kids that play football, because it was the girls cheered for the football team for that age group, but the kids that play football had their gear given to them, and all they had to pay for was their jerseys, where the cheerleaders had to pay for the banner that the kids ran through. So the football players would run through that banner and break it. For every game, the parents were required to pay a fee so that the kids could run through it.
Yeah, I think that comes down to in anything like high school sports. Football is your big money maker. It's like you're the last dog at the bowl.
Yeah, but there's no way. Like, if she did do cheerleading, they're like, oh, yeah, well, you guys have to pay to put this thing. I'd be like, no.
I know Aurora's done the cheer camps, and they get to go to the basketball game, and they get to cheer they get to do a little routine out in the middle of the court during the halftime of the basketball game. And Aurora seems to really like it. I don't know how far Aurora going cheering or not.
I mean,
like I said, we're throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
I will allow her to dress up, and we will as well if she's so into the Blue Ponies that she wants to go cheer for them, and we can do it.
Well, if she goes to high school here, you're gonna at some point she's gonna be in something.
Isn't everything Blue Ponies here?
The middle school isn't.
No, what is it?
They're like the Mustangs, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so weird. Like, where I grew up, every school had a different mascot.
Yeah.
Like Our high school was the Huskies.
Well, the grade schools are all different. They have their little things, but once you hit the middle school, I think I know their football team was like the Mustangs or something like that. And then then the high school, everything's all Blue Pony. But I mean, I don't know if you noticed that all the kids were Blue Ponied up at the schools this week because of homecoming.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, because you're not very observant, but
well, I don't know. Homecoming's still a weird thought in my head. I don't really understand it still. People explain it to me, but I still get kind of lost in what it's about.
It's just a celebrate,
Well, it's a fun celebration and that kind of thing, but like I had a conversation with someone here about it, and I was like, why is it? I don't know if it's different for other schools, but I mean, for Northern, the big thing was football. And I was like, why don't you have homecoming and have it for basketball? And,
they do homecoming for those, they're just not as big.
Right, but I mean, I went to the one here, and it didn't look too big.
Yeah, the high school was full.
Was
We went to because they had homecoming the same weekend. Friday night was the homecoming football game for the Ponies. Stands were full.
Well, I mean,
like sometimes that's the only game people will go to during the year is the homecoming football game.
Well, I mean, the high school football team does pretty good.
We've when I was in high school and the few years afterward, they were winning state championships every couple of years.
I mean, they get close.
They make the playoffs. They're competitive. They're a very good team. This year they're a little bit like they're 5-3, I think, right now, which is good. I mean, that's great. In high school, if you win a championship, that's the best you're ever going to peak in sports, right?
Yeah.
But who cares? You know what my memories are of having football? I don't remember what games I won or lost. I just remember it was fun.
I remember winning championships, but those were never the stories I tell. I always tell the stories of the weird things that happen. Because I played rugby and our team won for Ontario. We won all of Ontario, and then we got to go to all of Canada. So it was the best teams from across Canada. And the best part about that tournament was I tore the ligaments in my ankle. And so my coach duct taped my ankle.
See, that's a bad coach.
He duct taped it and then was giving me shots of whiskey.
That's a bad coach.
That's a great coach.
That's a horrible coach. Don't ever do that with your kid. If your kid's hurt, pull them out of the game.
I mean, it didn't affect me at all. Look, I'm still normal.
Yeah, I'm sure your ankle clicks when you walk, too.
No, it's been like that since I was a kid.
Your kid's hurt, pull them out of the game. There's no sports championship worth the health.
Oh, I didn't injure myself at the game. I injured myself doing improv.
Yeah, you shouldn't have been playing.
Well, whatever.
This comes down to like the way coaching is in sports are different than when you and I were kids.
Yes.
If you got your bell rung, you come out for a play or two, and the coach looking at you, good? I'm good. You cannot take the word of the player, even as an adult player.
I remember hitting the board so hard feet first because the ice, I lost an edge going sharp around the corner. I went feet first into the boards, and I couldn't feel my legs. And I was like, oh, man, this is weird. Like, it didn't hurt, but then I couldn't stand up because I think they had a shock through them. And I crawled to the bench because they wouldn't blow the whistle. I get on the bench, and I'm sitting there, and I was telling my coach, so that he got me to wiggle my toes and stuff. He's like, I think your feet and legs are in shock.
Of all the years you played, and this is probably the last thing, of all the years that you played, how many times did the best player on your team get hurt? Probably shouldn't have played, but your coach put him back in because you wanted him in because you wanted to win.
Well, when I played, I was one of those guys.
Right?
So.
And you were injured, but you were one of the best players, so you had to be in because the coach wanted to win the game.
Yeah.
He was more concerned with the W than your well-being.
Yeah.
You could have ended your hockey career forever.
No, Derek, it didn't.
But it could have. That's the thing.
Know. That's like the big thing now, and that's what's hard is the generation that's coaching now is like how we were.
Right.
Where you can't tell me there was times you didn't play when you should have.
Oh yeah.
Right, and so
I still do it as an adult.
Well, that's what I mean. It's hard to then change that when you still have the mindset.
But what you want to do is you want to change it for the generation that's below you.
But it's hard.
Tell your coach you are too hurt to play. You've got a lot more sports left in you. You got years and years of sports left in you. Your 10U sports championship means nothing. You're never going to remember that anyway.
No.
If you're 38 years old sitting at the bar going, I won state when I was 10 in hockey, You don't care. Neither does the guy sitting with you.
I remember telling one of the kids when I was coaching high school, and he was like, he won Mr. Hockey for the state, and he was playing for us, and we're losing by like 4, with like 10 minutes left. And I looked at him and I was like, dude, just sit there. And he's like, no, I want to get. I was like, no, you're done. He looked dead.
Yeah.
He was so tired, and I was like, this ain't gonna change anything.
No, you're still Mr. Hockey. They cannot fault you because you didn't. Your coach was smart, didn't put you in and put you at a chance of injury and go and put your career at jeopardy.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
we almost made it the whole time without talking sports.
I know, but we really didn't talk too much.
Hockey
sports.
starts on Tuesday night. Yeah. NHL Tuesday.
And if you want to try adult hockey, starts.
No, November. We're gonna start adult hockey. Well, adult actual play hockey starts this Wednesday at 8:15. I think. I don't know. I gotta look at the schedule.
Thursday. Thursday's
Wednesday.
9:50.
Yeah.
Wednesday should be.
But there will be an adult learn to skate. If you want to learn, just learn how to play, learn how to skate, meet some new people, have a good time. We're not competitive.
And laugh at people.
Oh, if you don't come to laugh.
That's what I teach you for.
Yeah. So that'll be Sundays at 1. We will gear you up. Cost you nothing.
Yeah, when's that start?
November.
First
Weekend in November. First Sunday in November.
All right. Well, you've been listening to Average Rants here at KNC
90.1.
FM.
We're out.